9:41 here, Big 550 KTRS. Do you want to take that one? All right, let's go to Jay Kanzler. It's an interesting topic of conversation, but the death penalty here in Missouri is on hold. Jay Kanzler, what are your thoughts?
Well, again, I think the argument that cruel and unusual punishment, and I've stated this before, I just don't see how that applies to lethal injection. Even if there is a little discomfort, there's always going to be a little discomfort. And the discomfort that these particular people have inflicted upon their victims, the families, and upon society far exceeds that. But what is, I think, important in this particular case is this is the first time in, I think, 6 tries that the Supreme Court has finally said, hold up, don't execute Mr. Bucklew. We are going to allow the lower court to take another look at it. That kind of
It wasn't just the Supreme Court. It was Justice Alito.
Correct.
Who was no bleeding heart liberal.
Correct. And so this kind of stops the run of successes that the state was having. I say success in a sense of they're doing the right thing, and now sends it back, which then opens up this whole issue again of at what point is lethal injection cruel and unusual punishment. And it is not ever about the people that are arguing these cases against the death penalty based on this issue of, well, you know, they might be in 30 seconds of pain and suffering. Again, we get back to, I don't believe it's ever about that. It is the issue du jour to stop capital punishment.
But hold on a second. We've had stories of people who are gasping for air on the gurney. The last guy died of a heart attack 25 minutes, 30 minutes after he was injected. Is that cruel and unusual punishment, Jay Kanzler?
I don't know. I don't know. Is putting someone to death any less cruel and unusual than putting someone to death where it takes 10 minutes to do that, or shooting them, or hanging them, or electrocuting them? Again,
right.
These are all.
You're saying we're executing them. It's cruel and unusual.
That's if executing people is not cruel and unusual, a little discomfort along the way is not cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah. So, John.
Well, what shocks me about this every time I read one of these, and what we forget about this crime, I think happened back in 1998.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay?
16 years.
So we're talking 16 years later. Why are we having these discussions 16 years later? And we have to put the victims' families through this tragedy time and time and time again.
No closure.
Whatever the argument is, you know, we need to figure out a way in our judicial system to get this resolved much quicker than it does right now. This shouldn't take more than 4 or 5 years, if that long, to make the determination of guilt or innocence, whether it's cruel or uncruel, or whether this person should be subject to the death penalty or not. 16 years, and then to have the cord pulled, so to speak, on the family and closure again, it's just, it's outrageous.
He was scheduled to die for the shooting and the killing of a man in '96 before going on to beat, rape, and abduct an ex-girlfriend. So he's by no means is he I mean, he's guilty. That's what he did. He was executed. But we keep putting people who are innocent on death row. And because of DNA, we now know they're innocent. So while I'm for it, and I think everyone agrees we should do this in a quicker manner, we've almost made some really big mistakes.
But this is not about guilt or innocence. Right, so I mean, if there's
they're not arguing innocence.
This is now another whole. This ought to be taken up and discussed in the same phase of the proceedings as the guilt or innocence proceeding. And perhaps if there's something where it is a sketchy case or whatever, that maybe that's a reason to string along. But the guilt or innocence of this person, I don't think is seriously disputed by anyone. So why are we stringing this out for years or years or years to make sure that we're going to give him a more humane end than he gave to his victims? Hey, if we want something that happens quickly, what about just a gunshot to the head? That'll.
I don't know. I kind of tend to agree with you. What's the difference between hanging or the electric chair or this way or a 3-drug cocktail?
Well, I think it's I think it's the impression that you give to citizens. I mean, I think making a big public spectacle and we believed as a society that that's not what this was for. This wasn't for public revenge. This was for.
I agree.
So
I disagree.
but that's a
technology will allow me to decide if it's cruel and unusual. Why is it up to Justice Alito? Why isn't it up to me, the Missouri resident?
Because it's in the Constitution. That's why it's up to the Supreme Court.
No,
ultimately.
I understand that, but why can't I make up my own mind? Why is it shielded from me, the citizen? You're doing it in my name.
Well, I think.
That's even a better
my
idea. How
issue
about
is-
the person's getting executed? You give them 4 options. Which one do you want to pick?
Well,
We're doing it
You know
next
what?
month.
You say that's not altogether crazy. I mean, I do think
But
that
you're
it's
going
hard to
down.
argue cruel and unusual if you're choosing it. But
Well, and that's
you know,
what nobody's. And that's
but we
this
could-
isn't about cruel and unusual. This is about a legal issue to avoid what the
oh,
people of
and I
Missouri
agree.
have
They want to
said.
litigate this and
Right.
to
said,
stop them. I
We
agree.
have the death penalty in this state, and that's the issue. And I'm all in favor of making sure when it comes to guilt or innocence. But when you have these people that are guilty, there is, nobody's claiming that. We're 100% sure that it happened this way. Whether or not this guy's veins may cause him 10 minutes of discomfort or 10 seconds of discomfort, I'm not losing any sleep.
Well, but I do think that we would avoid. Missouri, luckily, is not deemed one of these states that's executing innocent people. I mean, Missouri does have a very good record, and that's because of prosecutors and judges.
There's been nobody who has been proven to be
innocent,
executed
who was innocent.
Who was innocent.
That's exactly right. In Missouri, I believe does it very judiciously. I believe our prosecutors don't do it. This isn't a prosecution, a death penalty mill.
We've had
it seems
people
like
spend
that.
20 years in jail for all sorts of things that they were innocent
And the
of.
standard is
But-
not beyond any doubt.
It's
beyond
a reasonable doubt. Now, and the other thing is too. I wish the state, though, before they keep pressing the gas pedal and accelerating these things, just get the protocol done before. I mean, it seems like we're relitigating and rediscussing, what form we're going to use over and over again, because the state needs to come up with a form that works, stick with it, litigate it once, and call it a day.
But now,
it's not going to stop as long as they got to keep shifting. And I understand that third-party drug companies have interfered. I understand it's not all in their control. But why don't we just get this straightened out? Whether it's change over to the gas chamber, we have one, whatever it is. Come up with the protocol, litigate it, because we're going to keep getting these.
it should be on
I
TV.
think, and Jane, you're right. Although I don't think this particular case is so much about the protocol.
It's the unique of the
This
victim.
guy's veins,
Right.
this particular condition that this.
But the Supreme Court has had a lot of these writs in the last year, and I think they're sitting. This might be something along the line. Get it together, Missouri.
Well, I think, and that's why I think it's interesting, because it is the first time in this string of them that the Supreme Court has said, "Whoa, we're going to stop
Let's
this
talk."
one."
Well,
Let's talk.
thank you, State of Missouri, for doing it in my name. Now get out of the way and let me the ability to see it. Why is it that I'm allowed to see Jay Nixon's email to his secretary about what time lunch is, but I'm not allowed to see the state execute someone in my name?
Good
Well,
luck
because
trying to
that's-
get that.
That's-
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. I mean,
That's the policy decision, though, that I think, and I understand that you want to debate that, but I think a lot of people think that this isn't about a grisly reality TV
it's not
show.
it's not. I'm not trying to. It's not a reality show, because reality show is fake. This is real.
Mm-hmm.
This is real.
So, I mean, what are you proposing? We do it in the square and everybody watch? What are you proposing?
You can put a camera.
You want cameras?
You can put a camera in there, and you can put it up on the Missouri.gov website, and anybody who wants to go and see it can go and see it. And anybody who doesn't want to go and see it doesn't have to go and see it. We have open law records, do we not?
I understand.
I can see
But
all
nothing
the things.
mandates that you put a camera in an execution.
Well, no, nothing mandates you put a camera in a courtroom either.
Correct.
Right, until it's mandated.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and so you're wanting to mandate cameras in an execution and then put it on the internet.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, I disagree.
950 KTRS.